This conference will now be recorded.
First thing on the agenda is I see the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we can probably pass on that, but is to approve the agenda. Does anyone have any additions, corrections, changes to the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
Okay, I got a motion by Rick Seiler. I will second that. So if there is no other comments or questions, we'll take a roll call. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Let's see, I got Bruce,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and Chuck says aye, so the agenda is approved as presented. First thing on the agenda, we're going to turn it over to Chris Cavett and Glenn. I'm sure, Glenn, this is one that you've been wanting to get off your desk for a long time.
You are correct.
And rumor has it they wouldn't let you retire until this was off your desk. Okay, Chris, you can take care of explaining what this is.
Okay, well now if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have gotten this thing resolved. Would have kept Glenn here around a little longer. Well, if any of you got a good memory, we were talking about this one this time last year. We had brought in some change orders to the council, and we did note that there was going to be some more coming, and that we were going to be doing a reconciliation change order, and that we did have some disputed items.
We'll talk, but they just can't see us.
If someone can put your phone on mute, that'd be great. Thank you.
There they go. They went to mute. Yeah, at this time last year, we had brought this in, said again that we were still negotiating some items with the contractor, mostly some pay items, some quantity issues. We met with the contractor back in December and in January, and had some items to review, and then the pandemic happened and construction season for the contractor and us happened, and we still hadn't resolved some items. And finally this fall, we were able to get back together, get through the items that were still in question. A lot of these change orders had actually been approved in concept by the contractor and by the county, the ones that applied to the county. But we'd always intended to kind of just bring everything in at the same time, just because it was rather confusing to try to bring them in piece by piece. So obviously before you was 9 change orders, 6 through 14. A lot of them were broken up just to break up the type of work, or also just because how they were being funded. Some of these are funded from the county, some of them are from different city funding sources, etc. I don't know. I've got obviously listed through in the report each of the change orders. Not to get into them a lot of detail, but like 6, 7, and 9 had to do with things like just pavement repairs due to poor subgrade issues that were being covered in different ways or funded differently. 8 and 10 were basically additional work that had to be done to adjust sanitary and storm manholes, work that hadn't been anticipated in the beginning. 11 was turf related to additional turf establishment. There ended up being quite a bit more turf establishment related to the roundabouts and some area over there on Naylor Avenue on the west side of town. 12 and 13 were actually deduction change orders. 12 just happened to be related to some additional concrete testing that had to be done for warranty work. 13 was one of the items that was kind of the item of contention and dispute with the contractor. They actually had exceeded their bituminous wear paving quantity, and under the MnDOT spec, if they exceed a tolerance thickness, anything over that tolerance would be deducted. And so that took a little effort to quantify and determine that item, and that was what was presented. Ultimately, the contractor accepted that deduction. And then 14 is probably the one of most really the question people might have. This is basically what I call a reconciled change order. It's basically going back into the original bid items and the items that were significantly either overrun or underrun, and to reconcile those. And then obviously in the end, there was an overage on a number of those. And some of those were just strictly related to, I guess, additional work that hadn't been anticipated, and some were underestimations on some quantities that when the work had to get done, the item was just going to go over the original quantities. Obviously, it's a big project, a big contract. So those numbers tend to be a little higher because of that. So I guess any questions on the change order before we move to the next item, acceptance of project?
Yeah, Chris, as you guessed, I do. Why would this huge change order in number 14, why wasn't that adjusted for in the contract itself? I mean, that's a pretty big change order.
Well, again, what it is these are actually bid items. So if, for example, if a contractor bid, let's say a quantity of 100 on a pay item, but ultimately we ended up doing, let's say 200, whatever that quantity would be. This is just recognizing that overage of the 100 overage and what that cost was. So these are all bid items that were bid and the prices that were bid. So there was no negotiation on those prices. It's just identifying the items that brought the contract up, and that we need to identify that so that we adjust the contract amount to be above or at the point of what the contractors earned. Now, hopefully that explains.
I guess.
The one problem I have with all these change orders is that you've only gotten a block and a half done. So why would we need all these change orders when we haven't even done most of the project?
Rick, I'm sorry. This is the 2019 project. This is the one that was done in 2019, County Road. There's a map on the front of the.
I got it. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah. Don't worry. Next month we'll talk about the Main Street project and more change.
It better not be that amount for a block and a half, buddy.
Well, it's different type stuff. But anyway, back to this. Again, this is the 2019 project that was done by GMH Asphalt. Mostly, a lot of these things, like I said, cooperative project with the county for County Road 37. And again, the county does have a share of these change orders, and they've approved everything in all the ones that they're obligated to take care of.
Is this additional payment, was that in our contingency factor on the bonds or not?
There is contingency, and I guess, Mike, I don't know if you want to answer more of that, but there was definitely a number of these items were accounted for. I know like some earlier change order, like change order 2, which was an overlay on 3rd Street. Otherwise, I don't know, Mike, more to add? How you do the bonds and stuff?
Chuck, we've got in the bonding that we did on this project is that we've got contingency in the construction project to begin with. Number 2, we had included money for seal coating and striping next year. And then I had additional bonding money when we actually finally sized the bond issue. We had adjusted that at the end. We just got this from Chris basically Thursday night, and I started looking at it on Friday morning. So as I sit here tonight, I believe we have sufficient funding to take care of it, but we have not completed all of our final review at this time.
Okay.
But I believe that we should have sufficient funding to take care of it, especially where the county has approved or committed to their share on the project as well.
I guess the worst case scenario, you could add on to the bonding of the 2020 project to cover any shortfall.
Yeah, if we had to, then we could do that. But I'm pretty confident, but I can't say absolutely yet tonight, just due to the lack of timing that we've had to look at this.
That's fine.
Glenn, did you go through all of this and verify that all this was done? And I don't know. Why does it's giving me a rash?
I'm sure Glenn and Chris have probably worked with the construction contractor, so I assume that they're well aware of what was going on.
Yeah, everything has been accounted for and proven that it's been done. That's kind of how SCH and we caught the overage on the asphalt. That's why there's a deduct there, because gone through in a pretty fine tooth comb. So, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Bruce. You had a comment?
Just want to clarify to make sure that I understand that, as Mike said, it was all within the bond. So property owners will not be affected by these extras then?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I guess, Chris, what else you need to add for?
So obviously before you, there's two resolutions. The second resolution is for the acceptance of the project. Basically, that is, again, accepting the project is complete, identifying the total project cost, and basically approving the final payment and release of the retainage to the contractor. Again, final payment to the contractor is the $121,242.07. Before we release that, they do need to provide us what we call with the IC-134s, affidavit of paying state taxes, and then also the lien waivers that we need to get from their sub. So, yeah, it's been a kind of a long haul to get everything finalized with the contractor here. So, but we are good to go. And also under the project contract, there'll be a 2-year warranty period that begins actually with this final payment.
So I guess that's one plus thing. We got really an extra year of seeing any other problems, with the warranty. So I guess.
I'll make a final comment. Because it's something, it's only number 14. That's the only one that's stopping me. So, but Mike, if you say that you went through in the bonding, you can still come up with the numbers. And Glenn, you're saying that all of it was done. I guess I'll vote for it, but I don't know. I hate money.
I think to answer your concerns, Rick, is that normally on most of the street construction projects that we handle, they're typically a lot less. In this case, by taking on with the county the complete reconstruction of County Road 37, and then all of the mill and overlay that we did on city streets, the majority of what you're seeing in here is related to kind of County Road 37. And then we had some significant discussions and challenges as it related to the depositing of the dirt and the turf restoration in that area. But I think as you take a look at it is that, in trying to estimate, and the engineers have to kind of stand by this one, is that they estimate quantities. The contractor bids on those quantities, which gives us the contract bid. If those quantities vary either up or down, that's what results in what's happening with change order number 14. And when you take a look at it, the original contract bid was $3.229 million. And so you start going in and you deal with some of these quantities that if they aren't exactly what the engineer had estimated them to be, and both Glenn and our staff in working with the engineer and their inspectors, we go out and these are all either field measured or verified. And so there's nothing that's of any question that's really coming to the table in change order number 14. It is based on actual quantities that are dealt with in the field. So those are all field verified, but due to the larger size of the project, the change order is larger than normal.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Chris, Mike, or Glenn on this agenda item? Okay, if not, I guess the first thing is to make a motion to approve the resolution directing modification of the existing construction contract in regards to change orders number 6 through 14.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
There you go.
Okay.
Take her.
So I got a motion. Was that you, Sean?
Yeah.
I have a motion by Sean Ryan and a second by Rick Seiler. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, we'll take a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so that resolution passes 5-0. Now we need to make a motion for a resolution to accept the project work, and we can get all the required information back from the contractor and make final payment. And I will make that motion.
I'll second.
I got a second by Maggie Bass. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, we'll take a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce? You're on mute, Bruce, so can you just nod your head?
I'll just say aye.
Okay. Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so that passes 5-0. All right, thank you. Thanks, Chris. I know that wasn't fun, and I'm sure the next project, the 2021, is going to be just as much fun. So I'm going to be kind of sad that I'm going to miss that.
Well, I'm going to miss you, so thank you.
Yep. All right, number 2 on the agenda. Mike, I think you're going to kind of bring a little introduction. I do see that Rich is on the Zoom meeting, so I'm sure he's going to want to make some comments. And if anyone else wants to make some comments, again, this is not a true public hearing, but I'm going to welcome comments from anyone on the Zoom. And if you do want to make a comment, I need you to state your name and your address, please. So with that, Mike, why don't you kind of do a little quick introduction, and if you want Scott to go after your introduction, and then we can bring in Rich. You just let me know which order you want me to run it in.
All right, let me give the
Hey, Mike?
background.
Mike,
Yes,
I just want to let the council know here, I've got actually Steve Dubon is sitting in with me as well on this meeting here at my house. So we weren't able to get our camera up for some reason on the computer, so we're just listening through here. We can see you guys, but we can hear you through our phone.
Okay, thank you, Rich.
all right. Back on about December 9th, I received an email directed to both Jim Garais and myself with the CC to a number of council members as it related to an inquiry from Mr. Rich Novak of the Checkers Bar. And in that email, he was inquiring or asking what stance would the city take if either all or many of a number of small businesses, bars, restaurants chose to defy the governor's orders and attempted to reopen within the city of New Prague. I indicated in my response that day or two later to Mr. Novak is that we had to take a look at this issue with the city attorney, because obviously in both Jim and my capacity, we've been given and received and taken an oath of office that we will uphold city, county, state, and federal laws. And so in taking a look at this, and to avoid any council discussion on the matter that would cause us any behind the scenes open meeting violations, is that we tried to, through consultation with Scott, begin to bring this to the council's attention. So in talking over the matter with the city attorney, I've included in the packet information that he has provided in response to both city staff and the council as to what his technical legal opinion is on how we should approach or administer or follow what's contained in the executive orders that come from the governor. And subsequent to receiving that and scheduling this for the council agenda, I think most of you, if you've paid attention and watched what's happening in the news, there are a number of liquor establishments and restaurants in the state of Minnesota where the Attorney General's office has taken action against those that have chosen to open and to essentially operate in violation of that state order. And I've tried to include a couple of the newspaper articles that came in, and you have to recognize that the actions that you're seeing there came in after Rich's initial inquiry. So that information wasn't necessarily out at the time that he made his request. And so we have not talked since the middle of last week, last Wednesday, as a matter of fact. And so I don't know whether he's still intending to want to take that action. We've tried to, through this whole entire process, that if there were questions or issues that either were given to us or called into us, or we happen to observe them, our role has been to try to educate businesses and individuals as to what the law is. And to date, I'm not aware of that we've issued necessarily any tickets or anything of that nature as it relates to anybody violating any of the governor's order. In this case, obviously, it was going to be a much bigger issue that individually, likely after our discussions with the city attorney's office, Jim and I wouldn't necessarily be able to look the other way, and that we would have had to have approached it by an educational interaction with any business that would be violating the executive order, with likely at some point the report that would be taken by the PD probably would have been forwarded up to the Department of Public Safety or the Department of Public Health to let them take whatever appropriate action that they deemed appropriate. So as we sit here tonight, it's probably appropriate to maybe let Rich provide any additional background on his inquiry that he would care to make. And then maybe when he's finished, then you could have Scott provide you again with his legal advice or clarification of what's contained in the memos in your packet, and then see if there's any Q&A from the council. But I think what we've seen since I last had conversation with Rich is that the Attorney General's office has stepped in and has started taking the actions against those restaurants and bars that have decided to openly violate the governor's executive order from last Wednesday, December 18th. So that's really all I have as background. I hope I think I've accurately portrayed the inquiry from Mr. Novak, and so I would let Rich provide anything additional or other commentary that he might want to provide.
Okay, that's fair. Rich, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yes. All right. So basically my whole goal that I'm trying to get at here, things that I'm trying to look for input from the city on is, like Mike said, what are the ramifications if I chose to go against the governor's orders? Yes, it's true. There's been quite a few bars and restaurants across the state have opened. Some have been contacted by the Attorney General's office. Some have not. Other ones have basically, the Attorney General's office is trying to get the local police departments involved or the county sheriff's departments involved for them to go out and make the initial approach with the bar owners and take that first step. From finding out, since these openings started last Wednesday, there's been quite a few of the city departments that have chosen to not get involved. We know from phone calls that I have made to county sheriffs, the county sheriffs have also said that they are not going to take the stance that they want to get involved in serving any of these people with papers, shutting them down, kicking people out, writing any tickets. The only thing they said that they were going to do is wherever they have jurisdiction, is they were going to handle a complaint if it comes into them. They would handle a complaint, go address it, and then that's as far as it would go from there. And to my knowledge of a couple of other bars that have opened, that's exactly what took place and what happened. Yes, there's a few out there, I think, that are kind of that are in limbo right now of what's happening, and a lot of that stuff from talking with, there's a gentleman that's actually in charge of this group called the Coalition, the Reopen Minnesota Coalition. He and I spoke last night in pretty good length of what's kind of going on and the update of everything. And really, a lot of them are going to find out this week where they're at. I think we kind of are hearing that they're taking a turn down. They're backing off on some. Others are playing hardball. If you've heard about the gal named Larvita McFarquhar out in Lynn, Minnesota, she was one of the first ones who opened up her restaurant bar. She basically was told several times to close. She chose to not close. They threatened her that they were going to come take her license. She said, "You can come and grab it if you want, but I'm not closing my doors." And so they went through all these different stages, and then they finally came out, took her license. She continued to operate. They put a cease and desist on her. She continued to operate. There was nothing. She wasn't going to back down. And as of last night, hers went through the first court system. She got her license reinstated and a $250 fine. And that's where she's at now. So they threaten, it sounds like, with bigger fines, I think, to scare more of the people off. We don't really know, who's going to get a $25,000 and who's going to get a $250, because it sounds like they're taking everybody's case separate, and they're kind of, I think, just doing them one by one. So now we don't know. I'm not in a position, at this point to open with all that in mind, because if that type of fine gets thrown down on me, I don't have the money to afford to pay for that fine. So the reason for the meeting here is to try to figure out, I know where the county stands on this whole thing. I've actually had conversations with the county sheriff, so I know where they stand on it. I know all I was looking for is really where does the city stand? What can they do? What can't they do? What are the ramifications? And then what would you do, as a city? I mean, knowing that there's a lot of businesses in town that are on the verge right now of closing their doors for good. What's the stance, or what's the steps that the city's going to take to make sure that doesn't happen? And yet we still know that even if you decide that, okay, well, we're not going to do anything to you, we're going to just let this go, let the state fight their own battles. We are aware that we hold a liquor license with the city, but we also hold a small liquor license with the state, one that's $315 in value. So even if you chose to not take our license, because what happens is, as soon as we'd open, if our license is actually suspended or taken through the city or the state, we then are put onto a list basically through the MLBA, which basically gets turned over to all the distributors, which does not allow us to purchase or sell liquor in our establishments without that liquor license. So even if you were to allow us to operate our license, it's not saying that the state can't come in behind the door and take our small little $300 license, because that's still tied to our large license. I think we may be, I don't know for a fact, but I think we may be one of the few communities that probably has two separate licenses, because some of the other bars and bar owners that I've talked to along the way, a lot of them only have one license. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it just seems from the people I've talked to, they seem to not know of a second license that any of them have. They only have the one. So I guess that's my thoughts were, I kind of wanted to see, I'm not in that position to do, but if this goes on much longer, I'll be like, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be like the rest of them. I'm not going to have a choice. It's good. If I'm going to go down, if I know I'm going down and going under, I'm going to go down without a fight, because that's where I'm at. The money that I stuck into the building and into this community, I'm not going to just let it go to hell.
Rich, I got a question for you. Are you going to get money in the state funding that they just did?
So what we did, Cheryl took care of filling out paperwork and sent it in. We got denied because they said that we've received funds through a county or a city fund before, so we don't qualify for any money from this next, the $216 million that they approved. Supposedly that was supposed to be in the hands of the small businesses by the end of the year. If you received any proceeds at all from any other funding, you will not be eligible for that money.
Thank you.
So a little bit that or isn't going to last you for 8 months, 9 months of business. And the problem is, last time around, we were able to go back to you could go back to the bank. We went back to certain places and they deferred our payments and different things like that to help you out. This time around, none of them have interest in doing that. So the little bit of money that was there that you had when we were open for a few months, and now going into the best time of the year for us to be open, is when we're closed. And this is the part that from now till whenever we open, that this is a critical stretch from right now till whenever that day is going to be.
Rich, you mentioned that you know where the Scott County stands. Can you share that with us?
I can tell you I talked directly to the sheriff, Luke, and for a long period of time, he basically explained to me that he does not have jurisdiction in the city of New Prague to make any type of a ruling on that, because he said I can only control any place that does not have law enforcement that's outside the city limits. He said I have a number of bars in Shakopee. He said that have all been calling me and asking him the same questions that I was asking him, is where do you stand? And he said, I'm 4 blocks from these bars in Shakopee, and I can't give them any input really on it, because he said I don't have any jurisdiction in the city of Shakopee either. He said it's only in the county. So basically what they told us to do is, first off, in this group, they said, if you're going to go about it in a way that you want to, instead of just reopening and going against everybody, or do you want to reopen in a safer way? And that's the route I chose. So they said, okay, well then here's the steps that you should take before you get to that. And so they said you needed to contact your county sheriff, and you need to talk to them and ask them about where they stand on this. Will they come in and do anything to you? Will they shut you down? Will they write you, will they write you up for some kind of enforcement action? What will they do? And from what I'm finding out, and one that actually happened, last weekend, that was in Scott County, was exactly what Sheriff Hennon said they were going to do. Is he said, we will most likely get a complaint. We will go out and address the complaint. And once we address the complaint, he says, we're out and we're not getting involved. So basically they're not enforcing, they're not taking the Attorney General's orders. They're not doing anything on their behalf. They're just going off of complaints they're getting in about any specific bars or restaurants or any businesses that may have opened, and they're going to go and address the complaint, and then that's basically where it's going to be dropped. And that's exactly how last Friday's meeting with the sheriff went.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Rich, you mentioned that Steve Dubon was with you. Does he want to make a comment at all, or?
Well, Mr. Mayor, City Council, how you guys doing tonight? Flipside Pub and Grill, I've been there 18 years, and I've been through a divorce, a fire, good times, bad times, and I never thought the government would be the one to kill me. I'm pretty stubborn, but I won't defy. I've got the tenants upstairs. My biggest fear is, of course, the food. Department of the Minnesota Health Department, with the food license. That's my bread and butter. My thing, I'm here more to support Rich and maybe petitioning, soliciting the City Council to really, really consider negotiating the liquor license for 2021. The state wouldn't reduce their food license, so I paid that here just the other day, in hoping that I do fall into the qualifications of this last so-called grant from the state, which I should. They're going through the Department of Revenue. They're going to take all your information on e-file. I should qualify there. That'll help me get through, because this last stand down from the governor is basically all that. All the employees are coming right out of the checkbook. Just a little one-off here. This is a small town USA. My establishment's down about $180,000 from this time last year. Now, granted, that's like the salary of the mayor of the city. I get that. Chuck, you can smile. But anyway, that's a lot of money for small town USA. That's 50% down from where I was last year. And when we got hit in the spring, that's great. Then we kind of walked through that, and then lo and behold, here comes the city project, and you needed a 4-wheel drive to get to my back door to get something to eat. And then the city street opened up, and then here comes here comes the governor again. I would just ask the city to really, really think about maybe negotiating 2021 liquor license fees. I petitioned Illinois Casualty. I've been with them 15 out of my 18 years. It took me 4 hard months to get them to reduce my liquor liability and my work comp, because I got a full house package with them, full portfolio. They literally dropped my liquor liability 35% and my work comp based on, of course, hours submitted. So kudos to them. I asked the city to really, really think about the same thing. 50% something, guys. You're granted, I pay what, I think 3,000 or 2,900 because I don't have the Sunday off sale. I don't have off sale anymore. I don't have a dance permit anymore. But guys, I'm telling you, every little bit of help. Either I would really consider not even opening in 2021, which you'll lose the full 3,000. But guys, I'm pretty stubborn, so maybe you guys can help us out here just a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Any other questions for Rich or Steve?
I'll add one thing in there too. So basically about a month ago, we received our invoice, ironically, from the state of the health department for our portion of our liquor license, which is a $315 liquor license fee. Made 4 phone calls to them. It's an automated type thing, left 4 voicemails, never got a return call back in basically for this same type of thing, requesting, okay, hey, you shut us down from March till June, and then we got a chance to open. Now you shut us down in November, and we're coming up on January. There's no end in sight, but yet they're sending an invoice and requesting full payments for these. And nobody answers their phone. Nobody returns your phone calls. And then it sounds like this has been going on for a lot of other people have made that same phone call, and nobody's getting any answers on it. I finally was able to get through to somebody last Thursday afternoon. She told me she's sorry that she can't do anything about it because it's not in her powers to do. And she went on about them basically saying that they had an option to reduce the liquor fee that we owed, but it got voted on. Now, when she said voted on, I'm assuming that was at the legislator level. She said it was voted on and it failed. And she said, and then they went to the next step, which they were going to do in 2021, is they were going to take the number of months that you were closed, whatever your monthly fee would be based off of the $315, they would reduce that from 2021's fee that's coming up. That's basically due by December 31st. And they said that was voted on and that was denied as well. So here we sit, basically a week away from the end of the year. Nobody calls you back, nobody gives you feedback, and nobody wants to give on this. They want their money, but yet they want to keep us closed so that we can't make any money at all.
Okay. Mike, can I just kind of get clarification on the 2-tier liquor license that Rich is referring to?
Well, in having a city liquor license is that they pay us a fee, but there's also a fee that gets paid to the state of Minnesota.
Okay.
If there's a liquor entity, let's say St. Patrick's out in the rural area, I believe they pay their fee to it would either go to the township or the county likely before it goes into the state. So I haven't really had any interaction with that, so I can't tell you exactly who they pay their liquor licenses to and what it amounts to and whether it's both to the county and or the state or just how that works. Scott might know that, maybe he's got some advice on that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll jump in quickly. The bottom line is any liquor license that we issue as a state is intertwined with issue as the city is intertwined with the state. And we only have the authority the state gives us to issue those liquor licenses. So if the state says you can't issue a liquor license, we can't do it. So that maybe is what Mr. Novak is talking about. But the reality is, yes, if the state, if the city were to take the situation to the extreme and just ignore the order, which again is a law right now, you'd be violating the law to do that. And the state swooped in, the state would have the full authority to close down any business that has a liquor or a food license. So whether the city does it or not, the state certainly has that ability as well to do the same thing. Maybe,
Okay.
Mayor, I can sort of jump into just the information that I provided to you as council members. This was in response to a Mike forwarding Mr. Novak's letter or email on to me. Unfortunately, nothing's really changed from what we discussed back in last May. The same issue exists. A governor's order is the law. It has the authority of law. If you violate it, you can be fined both civilly and criminally for violating it. I tried to explain in the memo that I provided on December 10th a little more detail about that. And specifically, the detail what I've given you is more about the liability that results if, in fact, people look the other way. You know, notwithstanding the fact that I think it's pretty well assumed right now that the state eventually will get around to everybody. Whether somebody opens illegally now and is open and is able to stay open for multiple weeks, eventually the Attorney General's office is going to get there and retroactively deal with it. It's a pretty hefty fine that's possible. It's also possible they can revoke anybody's ability individually to get a license for up to 5 years. So it's a fairly substantive penalty. And I am assuming if somebody's really violating the law and continues to do it after they've been cited, court action, that type of thing, that's what they'll run into. And really then what occurs? Their insurance that they have for the business is not valid. And then they're standing there without any liability insurance, and potentially either whatever entity is there, a township, county, or the city and its citizens would be liable for not taking action. The league really hasn't had to deal with that yet. They have suggested strongly, though, that if a city looks the other way and does not enforce the law, which it's required to do, they will not insure the city for that type of claim, that anything results from that, which again means the taxpayers have to cover any liability. What would the liability be? I don't know. If there was a dram shop claim, it could be millions of dollars. So it's significant. And again, that's just the unfortunate aspect that results from the way this is set up. It all bottoms out on the basis of liability, and that's really what comes up. Beyond that, you know, can individual council members be liable? Sure, they can, and that's possible. There have been no scenarios like that in the state of Minnesota, so I can't tell you that it's happened, but it certainly is possible depending on how a court would look at it. Again, beyond that, I don't really have much more to tell you beyond what we discussed back in May, but I'll certainly answer any questions you have and try to explain as best as I can.
I have a question, Scott. I'm just curious, how does the city of Minneapolis or St. Paul look the other way when it comes to illegal aliens and they order their chief of police not to assist federal authorities? Can't even ask the question of whether or not they're in the country legally. If one of those illegal aliens actually murdered someone, are you saying that the city would be liable or could be sued because they did not? They looked the other way on that situation? I mean, it just seems like.
Yeah, you know, again, that's a very different situation because there was discussion about enforcing a rule or a recommendation out of INS to deal with that, immigration and naturalization, to deal with those type of situations. That's a little bit different. It is possible, though, yes, there could be liability, and there are people that have been trying to assert that. Whether or not a court case will show that's the case, I don't know. Our situation is very different. We have a statute on the books. We have the legislature that has put that into place, and the governor is following that statute. Based on that statute, it's the rule of law when the governor issues that order. And for violating that order, there are specific penalties that are in place for that. So it's a little different. I could see where you're going with that issue with Minneapolis. Yes, that's possible. We're a little bit beyond that. It's very distinctly clear that there is liability for violation of this statute in Minnesota.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
First of all, Rich, I really, gosh, I feel so bad for you. I'm so sorry that this is happening. This COVID is just devastating so many places. But your particular place, I really feel bad about it. I seek legal counsel today. And my buddy, he's an attorney, and he used to be a city attorney. So I called him, and he said, take a far step away from it. Be very careful about what you do. do not violate the governor's order. That's the advice that I had gotten from legal counsel. So, Scott, I was going there with the liability for the council people myself, because I've seen situations. Rich, I feel really bad, and I just wanted you to know that if there was something that I could do, I surely would. But I don't believe that we have the authority to override the governor's decision. So I don't. That's my comment.
Thank you, Rick.
Any other comments?
Yeah, this is Maggie. I too just want to say to Rich and Stephen that it's a very difficult situation that the governor has put your businesses and other businesses into. I think it's a shame. It upsets me. It's picking and choosing certain businesses based on, I don't know what specific data. I haven't listened to all of the public announcements by Governor Walz. I did listen to his last Wednesday. And rural America is different than Minneapolis and St. Paul, and there was a pretty good op-ed piece in today's paper about that. You know, some of the smaller towns are able to control a lot better than the larger bars and restaurants in urban areas. My heart goes out to you both and to other businesses here in New Prague. If I were in your shoes, I would fight as well. But as a city council member, I did swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Minnesota. And I understand the potential legal ramifications that would prevent us from defying the governor's orders. But please be it known that if governmental orders went well into our constitutional rights, that I would be amongst the many that would fight. Thank you.
I guess the only comment I want to make is, I also understand the situation. I don't definitely agree with it. I think the governor has used the guideline as science, but he, in my opinion, hasn't proven the science, in my mind, to specific business segments. And I don't agree with it. I do agree that we need to uphold the Constitution, the laws of the state of Minnesota. In regarding to you, Steve, I think that's something, again, this is my last meeting as mayor, but, maybe that's something next year's council can address regarding looking at the liquor licenses for, the next business year. But again, that would be something I think that the new council should address. So that's my take on it.
So Mike, would you be able to put something like that on an agenda for first meeting of 2021?
Well, yeah, we'd have to get general direction from the council, and then probably take a look at what, if anything, we could do and what the economic impact of that would be, because obviously there would be some impact in the budget, but that certainly can be put on for the new incoming council to consider and have debate on early in the year.
Rich, it's Steve, I'll bring that forward after the first of the year. I'd be happy to do that. I think that's the only fair thing to do for you guys.
And I think you'd have a quorum with that, Sean. So let us all know what's going on, because I would stick with that too. I'd be behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, just don't step on a nickel to pick up a penny, because reducing it 50%, 1,500 is better than zero. Like I said, I really got to think about if I want to open up in 2021, and I provided a really solid service to this community, and it really frustrates me when the 5 states around us are open, and we really think that the 21 to 35-year-olds are going to go home at 10 o'clock. That was prior, trust me, but when we take them out of a structured environment with protocol and let them go to somebody's garage and somebody's basement. So yeah, if you guys could really consider that, that'd be, I'd be thankful from here to there. Thanks.
Well,
Yeah,
Steve,
and I would support
Steve, I took a big pay cut this year for you. So from 180,000, I think I went down to about 5,000 just for you.
Attaboy, Chuck. I knew you were a company.
Okay, I guess, Mike, is there something we need to do? Do we need to make a resolution? Or do you feel that the consensus of the council is giving the correct direction that you and Jim can follow?
Well, I think, if you listen to Scott and what his message was to you, I don't think you're going to find that likely either Jim and I are going to necessarily run right out. However, we have an obligation and a legal responsibility to do what's expected within our positions based on what you heard from the city attorney, that we don't get the luxury of basically picking and choosing what laws we enforce or what laws we don't enforce as it relates to this. We likely would probably pass on information and let either the Department of Health or Public Safety take further action. I don't want to speak for Jim, and he should have a chance to weigh in because it'll be he and his department out there. But I think in taking a look at it, we just can't say carte blanche that we can look the other way and disregard what is occurring, because technically, if that does happen, that they're operating in violation of a state law, that runs contrary to the issuance of a city liquor license by the council, that businesses are supposed to be compliant with state laws as it relates to the receipt of their city liquor license. So if it came to that, we'd obviously have to converse with the city attorney and garner his advice and direction, and likely in the processing, as he does with any police reports. In this case, I would likely expect that Jim probably would pass information on to either Department of Health or the Department of Public Safety, but I don't want to speak for him in case he wants to weigh in.
Yeah, over the last couple of weeks, we've had discussions about this, and throughout the executive order period here now, it has always been public safety's mission to educate with these executive orders. So if we're going to go out there, we get a complaint, we would investigate. If it is a violation of an executive order, then we would make contact with the owner and talk to them about it and ask why they're doing it. Are they going to change? And then forward that information to the state. Again, whether that would be for an alcohol violation, to alcohol and gambling, or if it'd be a restaurant or food violation, then it'd be the Department of Health, and they would follow up. As we continue that process, if we go to the same place 5 times and they're not complying, then we would look at what we would need to do to get them in compliance. And if that would be to take action or bring it before the council, then that's where we would look at what we need to do then. But that is the process. And right now, Department of Public Safety, in our meetings every week, we have one on Monday and one on Friday, 2 a week. That has been the goal, is to keep everybody on the same page and have all those local police departments and counties responding the same way. And that is to try and educate the public with the executive orders. There have been a few citations issued, but again, that is because someone failed to comply after being spoken to several times, and something needed to happen for that instance because they were putting people in danger with the COVID-19. But generally, we are going to take the report, investigate the complaint, and pass it on to the state at this time.
Okay. Is that acceptable to all the council? Is that how we want it to handle?
That's not an option for us. I mean, that's just Jim's job.
Well, right, but I mean, do we all feel comfortable that we don't have to change what's going on?
I don't believe we can. I would love to change what's going on. Rich, I'd love to back you 100%, but I took an oath, so.
Rick, I'm just saying on what the way things are being handled currently is that's direction we want the council to continue that to be handled. Am I clear? Does that everyone understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
No,
I
I
do.
don't.
I do. Pardon?
Well, I guess I'm saying is the way Jim explained how things are being handled is consistent with other police departments and sheriffs. They're looking at complaints and then they're passing information on the state. More of an educational role versus an enforcement role. And that's kind of how we've handled it all through the pandemic. And I guess, is that what we're want to continue, or do we want something stronger and have citations handled by our department? That's what I guess I'm looking for.
I think the way it's being handled is fine. I like the idea of education first and even a second time, just so that a business owner understands what the next step will be if they don't comply. So I'm all for education.
And I think regarding alcohol anyways, we have civil penalties within our ordinance that could be put forth. Those civil penalties are $500 for the first violation, second violation $1,000 and 2 days suspension of the license. Third is $2,000 with 10-day suspension, and fourth would be a license would be revoked. As the city issuing those licenses, you would have control of that also. The state also has civil penalties within their statutes regarding the sale and staying in compliance with liquor laws, where they could do up to a $60 or a 60-day suspension and up to $2,000 for each violation, or a combination of these sanctions. So I think those are some of the things that are happening. There are other options out there. Just because it is an executive order, there's some penalties that can go along with that also. But again, I think all of us have been on the same page that we are educating about the executive orders. And if the state chooses to continue to move forward with enforcement on some of those, that's what they have been doing in regards to those then.
Okay.
I'm fine with the education part of it.
Okay. Bruce, you have any comment on that?
I get a couple of questions for Scott.
Hold on, Rich. Let me get a comment from Bruce.
Okay. Well, I emailed Rich earlier in response to his email, so I gave him some thoughts, and and I mentioned to him that I felt that the small businesses are the ones that are carrying the brunt of this burden, and that should be significant financial assistance to compensate for that. So I do definitely have that empathy for that, and would like that to have happen. So I'm very disappointed to hear that you made an application and you're not qualified. So we would be wanting to help you to see if you can get the county money for those people that fall through the cracks, if you do indeed fall through the cracks. I'm understanding what you said, Chuck, and I'm understanding Chief Gars to say that we are not going to look the other way. We are going to comply and enforce the governor's orders as they're stated, so we don't incur any liability to our taxpayers in New Prague, and I think that's what we have to do. So that's my position. I mentioned to Rich in my email to him, I think the argument that he and others need to make is that there's might be a way to, you have to be able to show that you can open safely. I think that's a big issue. And here in New Prague, we are very much aware that there has been a spread through a bar. So it's a different kind of an issue that you have to address, or it's a more important issue. So, but I totally support and advocate for him and others to, if there's a way to open safely and to prove that's what I would, that's my opinion, but I don't support anything that would say that we're not going to comply, or we're not going to, or that we're going to look the other way, because I don't think that's what we can do. And as our attorney is advising us, that's not, those aren't the types of things we should be discussing, in my mind.
Okay, Rich, you said you have some questions for Scott?
Yeah, just a quick response to Bruce's comments. The one thing I guess that probably is what really gets me going more is that we all get thrown in the same bucket. You know, we have gone way overboard in what we've done at the bar, putting extra staff members on, costing us more money for that, buying masks and giving out masks to people that choose to not come in with them, and not having, one single person from March through at this point now of coming down with COVID in our bar, not a patron, not any of my people that basically are there. And yes, so there was a breakout in one bar in town. It's not fair to group the whole entire bar community into one bucket, because there's other people in this town that are doing way more and way over and above what some people are. And I know some that are not doing anything at all. I know ones that aren't even within our city limits of other bars that I've heard about from people that don't enforce anything. We went over and above everything that we were supposed to do this whole entire time, had 0 cases, 0 issues within our bar. We've used so much sanitizer, our varnish and finish is coming off our bar stools. Everything's going to have to be completely replaced or refinished when we're done because of the sanitizing that we've done throughout our building. So so one thing, like I said, that I don't agree with is I don't agree that we should all be thrown into one big bucket, because there's people that don't care, and then there's some people that did care and cared all along. I'm kind of getting to the end of that rope, because I'm finding out that it doesn't matter how much I cared about it, because right now nobody cares at this point. So that's where I'm at in that. In regards to the couple questions for Scott there, I don't know, he's muted. Can you hear me?
Scott, can you hear him?
Okay, so two things. So in this coalition Minnesota group, there's a couple attorneys. There's 2 state legislators that are on this group as well, that met a couple of Sundays ago up in Champlin. And those were things that they talked about. And the one thing, and I'm just throwing this out there again to maybe dig into that further, because these 2 attorneys that are in this group and the state legislators came right out and told us that these are not state laws, that these are actually mandates, and the mandate is not a law. It's basically a law in the governor's eyes that it is, but it's not an actual law, that these were mandates and they can't be a law. Number 2 is we were also told at this meeting, and it was, I had one person, different person I spoke to, that told me that you cannot be criminally charged for this unless you are prosecuted by your city or your county. So it has to be one of them 2. The state can't file criminal charges against you. It has to be prosecution from the city or the county.
Scott, do you have some opinion on those?
Yeah, no, I can quickly respond. I don't know what they're talking about. It is a law. The statute says it directly. I don't know. They should double check. I can't respond other than say it is the law. It has the force and effect of law. It is enforceable. Absolutely violating certain things will lead to criminal penalties. Now, whether it is specifically or what they were talking about, I don't know. So I can't really comment on that part of it. You are correct. There are a number of ways this can be treated civilly. There are a number of ways it can be treated criminally. I don't see that the city's going to go down that path from the criminal standpoint, unless somebody's egregiously doing this. It really is a licensing issue, and that's how other cities have been treating this. That is how the League of Cities is saying to treat this. And if people are making the effort to follow the law and comply with it, certainly cities are going to take that into consideration. I doubt that it would rise to the criminal level in most cases, but the facts are under the city's ordinance, and again, upholding what the city as a council and what staff are required to do, it would be a violation potentially criminally or civilly, both. Has that potential either way.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess I don't think we need to take any action on this, do we, Mike?
No, I think this was intended to be likely more informational discussion that Scott has given us the advice, and all we can do is kind of take a wait and see attitude and approach it as we've generally described for your benefit here tonight.
Okay.
And then you're going to put on the agenda there, Mike? Are you going to put on the subject that Steve was talking about maybe reducing the amount of the permitting process?
I indicated earlier, in light of that being raised and a number of council members indicating interest, is that yes, I would put it on the agendas for the new council after the first of the year.
If we were to do something like that, Scott, would that be discriminative? I mean, we got another store closing down because of this, and we couldn't do anything to help her either. If we go to do this with the bars, are we discriminating against the other retail and such? I mean, Brooks on, she could tell you there's people
licenses from us
pushing the limit all the time.
Yeah, again, from a standpoint of changing or implementing licensing fees, you have broad authority to do that. I don't think we would have a discrimination situation. We certainly could figure out a way that would be unbiased and reasonable and fair. So no, I don't think that's something to be concerned about.
And do we still have CARES money that we could vote on? Because I know that we left the amount small so that there was a little remainder. And then I remember on the budget, there was still that little bit on the bottom. Would there be a way to take, I mean, even if it was a small amount, to try to help the businesses that are going under just off of the CARE money that we already have? Because I do know that we'll probably get more, but Rich is right. If you draw from one, you can't draw from another.
There is no more CARES money remaining. That if you recall, we filled out all the paperwork with the way that we handled it, and so there is no CARES money left at this time.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make that clear and on the record. And so there is no money that we can get to any of these businesses that are going under, and we can only pray that the government is going to be able to kick something in.
Well, I think Bruce alluded to a county program that got some money from the last state legislative action, correct, Bruce?
You're on mute.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's basically 3 buckets. The first bucket was for restaurants, taverns. The second one was for movie theaters. The third one was meant to be a catch-all, and that money is going to go directly to the counties. And the counties will be charged the task to try to help with the people that fell through the cracks and develop some kind of application program similar to the last one to try to catch those businesses that didn't get it, didn't qualify. So there's a potential, a possibility that might be an avenue to look down towards. But here again, I'm surprised that specifically who that was supposed to help didn't get qualified. So I guess I would like to look into that more, why Rich didn't qualify for that, but that's specifically what it was for. But yeah, there's 3 different buckets there in the law that was passed.
That information is on the last 2 pages of your packet that was included for your review. And we just received the information today in a late email from the Scott County First Stop Shop on how Scott County is going to approach making that money available. I sent it to Brooke this afternoon. We're going to get it on our website And I'll also try to get it to Patrick Fisher at the newspaper so that he can put that out. We're expecting in a meeting forthcoming that LeSueur County will likewise be doing the same. So as soon as that information comes along from either of the two counties, we'll attempt to push it out through the chamber and the newspaper and on our website.
And Rich, do you have this? It's page 15 on this packet.
Yes, I sure do.
And that's the piece I'm referring to that we just got information today from Scott County on how they're going to handle it.
Yes, because if we were denied already from the state, then we have no choice there. So our only hope is going to be anything through the county.
Yeah, and it's too bad that we can't get that in a lump sum like we did the CARES so that we could just distribute it ourselves. I mean,
Okay, well, I think we kind of touched that topic. Again, I want to thank Rich and Steve for their comments. And I wish you best of luck. And hopefully the county can come through with some money for you, Rich, and keep your doors going. So,
Chuck,
okay.
I got a question. I got a question. So let me get this straight. So the majority of the council is saying education before citations. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we're going to handle it just like they are currently doing anything during pandemic. The officers are going out to educate, and obviously if they have to go multiple times and they don't see that a change in activity is changing, then there might be a citation portion at that time. But they will they're kind of letting my understanding, Jim, is the Department of Public Service or Department of Health do the enforcement part of it rather than the city doing it. Is that correct, Jim?
Correct. Yep. We would refer it out, but yeah, just like you said, Chuck, if the behaviors don't change, then we may have to escalate to some sort of enforcement level. But generally, the general stance is we simply try and educate any of those that are involved in the violation as to what the executive order states and what it means for behavior, and just try and educate again.
Okay.
hey, Steve and Rich, good luck. I wish there was more we could do for you.
Okay.
I appreciate
Right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is item number 3. I think Ken, you're going to take this.
I got a quick PowerPoint here for you. It pops up here. All right. Everybody see the PowerPoint in front of them there?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right. So this item specifically is in relation to our subdivision regulations that are extended out into the township, specifically in this case for Lanesburg Township. Be a little background in this. So these plats and other lot splits have come in front of the council at different times, but we've had this resolution that enacted our subdivision authority up to and no further than 2 miles from our city limits within Lanesburg Township since 1997. And that 1997 resolution is still what we have in effect today. That state statute 462-358, that is what allows us to extend by resolution our 2 miles of subdivision review authority. Now, specifically, our resolution that we have on file currently from 1997, instead of just saying we can extend that within 2 miles fully from our city limits, it was very specific to sections and portions of sections that our enactment applied to, which is a little unusual, but nevertheless, it's how it was written. And I'll show you in a map how that kind of laid out, but the reason that we have that requirement to apply our subdivision regulations out within the county and within Lanesburg Township specifically is because the subdivision regulations allow us to ensure future development within our growth area, and even a little bit outside of our growth area would be developed orderly and allow us to cost effectively build out roads and infrastructure as we grow. One thing that we recently learned, and actually was enacted back in March of 2020, was that the city of Heidelberg had enacted its 2-mile subdivision review authority. And that's notable because Heidelberg is actually less than 2 miles from New Prague city limits at one point. And because we had already enacted our review authority, we can't both extend out within that area because they would intersect basically at less than 2 miles. So that kind of became a question of our resolution and how that line between our authority and Heidelberg's authority would play out. Typically, the statute says that you would just equal distance from your own boundary where that overlap is, you would apply, but we didn't have just a simple 2 mile from our limits. We had specific sections that were mentioned. So talked to Scott, and he basically drafted the resolution that you have in front of you here tonight that can help clarify the matter. And in a nutshell, it's extending our review authority out just a blanket 2 mile from our limits rather than listing out specific sections that we had before. And again, it'll make more sense when I put up the map. So this basically means with the new resolution that if we have an annexation, it'll automatically adjust that 2 mile limit. Right now, when we've had annexations, it has not extended that 2 mile boundary. So this will kind of help make it so this continues to move out farther from our boundary and we'll have to adjust it over time. So specifically for Heidelberg at the closest point between New Prague and Heidelberg, the cities are about 2.76 miles apart. So each city's authority at that closest point could only go out 1.38 miles. And I'll kind of point out on the map again how that exactly would play out. But this is kind of a question that the county had contacted us and Heidelberg to bring this situation up to both of us, because when you map it out, it just wasn't clear with our current resolution. I do want to point out furthermore that we do not have the same authority within Scott County. Scott County has provided for a number of years urban expansion districts around the city, which limits growth of non-city development and limits lot splits, has other protections in place. So we have not had any enactment of any review authority within 2 miles within Scott County. And the other thing to bring up is that since we annexed the Belzer car dealerships, we actually are now within a 2 mile limit if it were to be extended into Rice County. So we've not actually had to work with Rice County previously. So I had about an hour-long conversation with the Rice County planning staff a few weeks ago, specifically for Wheatland Township. We would extend just a little over a section into that township. And Rice County explained that they also had not anticipated us growing into their jurisdiction. But I pointed out that our 2 mile limit, if we were looking to extend it from our city limits, would actually extend into Wheatland Township. They pointed out that just like Scott County, they have enacted around other cities such as Lonsdale, Faribault, to name a few, similar urban reserve areas to help protect our growth areas. And they pointed out currently right now, their ag zoning actually is enough of a limit to prevent any real hindrance to us. So we don't need to enact anything at this point. And they'll be updating their land use plan within a year or two. So we'll get that taken care of with Rice County planning at that point. So Lanesburg Township's really our key focus here tonight. So again, in the packet, we have the resolution that Scott's office did draft up that would extend our review area out to within the full 2 miles within Lanesburg Township. This is kind of the important map I wanted to point out. So our city limits is up kind of the red line, trying to outline it here. And the county line, obviously, down Main Street, our highway 19 and 13 and 19 as you head east. So the pink area is actually the boundary that was enacted back in 1997, the 2-mile limit. The interesting thing is that it actually extended more than 2 miles in a few different areas, which really wasn't okay by the ordinance, but I don't think they had the mapping capability back in 1997 to put it down on a map and really see that they were beyond the 2-mile limit. Nevertheless, you can see I mapped out our new boundary is this new red line, and then kind of the yellow area that extends from our current city limits from our most recent annexation with the Tukolsky Estate property included, and the Belzer property, obviously. Just a little bit further to the west and just marginally larger kind of on our south boundary there with the full 2-mile limit. Throwing in Heidelberg and their full 2 miles is kind of the orange hatched area. So you can see where we had, even with our current resolution, the overlap. And because we didn't have a blanket 2 mile in comparison to Heidelberg's 2 miles, we didn't know exactly where that boundary should be drawn, whereas our regulations lie and where Heidelberg's regulations lie. So with this 2 mile, basically, and I haven't gone through the mapping exercise yet, because it's a little bit of a programming issue that I'm going to work with the county on, but it'll basically put that dividing line right in the middle of the overlap, and we'll get that defined, and that's helpful for Scott County when they, or LeSueur County, excuse me, when they have lot splits and other plats that come in for their review. They know which authority to send it to. In this case, either Heidelberg or City of New Prague. So kind of a lot of work for what seemingly is a minor or trivial issue, but it is pretty important for the county to know, and actually for us in Heidelberg to know as well where our review authority lies. So this kind of cleans it up, and going on in the future, it should prevent any further questions. When we annex, it'll extend that boundary. So it's kind of an ask from the county, but it was just good for us to get this clarified in any case, because we have grown quite a bit over the past 23 years since that was enacted initially. So that's really all I have for the item, and we do have the resolution in the packet for your consideration tonight.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Ken regarding this change? So Ken, the only question is, in that covered area, there would be a split down the middle.
Yep.
And anything north of that or northeast of that would be New Prague's, and
Correct.
southwest would be okay.
Would be Heidelberg, correct.
Okay.
Ken, what happens to parcels that are in both overlapping?
We've run into that actually before with our current regulations. We've gone with whether the majority of the parcel was within or not within the boundary is how that's prevailed in our conversations with LeSueur County. So we'll usually get a notification and we'll talk through that. And I would expect that would continue, but with the mapping we have, it's if the majority is in or without of that area is what would apply.
And is that established by rule, or is that just a handshake agreement or understanding, or?
It's just really by practicality of it, because ultimately you have splits all over on these parcels anywhere within that area. And we've had maybe 20, 30 feet into an area, into a parcel, and it kind of makes sense whether it should apply or not. And we'll actually look at if there's a homestead or a house site on there too, where that lies. So it's not completely even, but it's just a way where we can take a look at that and see what makes the most sense. But it's not spelled out specifically in resolution, and Heidelberg's is even less spelled out than ours. So I think we would just have some conversations at that time with the county, kind of coordinating that.
Yeah, there's definitely some ambiguity in that, isn't there?
Yeah, because you're going to have the line at any given point cutting through a property at a unique location.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I guess I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution extending our line to 2 miles rather than parcels?
So moved.
I got a motion by Rick Seiler.
Second.
Second, was that Bruce? Okay, second by Bruce Wolf. You're so small right now, everyone there. I can't, pick it up by. Well, no, not that way it goes, Bruce. I got a motion by Rick Seiler, seconded by Bruce Wolf. If there is no other questions or comments, okay, we'll take a roll call. Rick,
Aye.
Maggie, are you there?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Bruce?
here. Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so it passes 5-0. Thank you, Ken. Next,
Thanks,
Jim,
Ken.
you're going to talk about leasing fleet cameras.
Yes, from the direction from the council to look into squad cameras. This is a result from Axon, which would be a lease agreement for 5 years, for a total of $43,076 for the 5-year lease. The first year would include the lease amount of the $6,192, along with the purchase amount of $9,716 for equipment. And then each year after that, that also includes the $2,400 for installation and training. They would have a technician come here once the equipment is in, put in the equipment into each of the 4 squads, and then do a little on-site training with the officers regarding the workflow of the videos. The videos will go from the camera onto the computer and then either download via cell connection or once they pull into the garage. When we had our network cabling done, we did access points out in our garage. So the router from the squads would connect to that and download the video right up to evidence.com, which is the platform we use for our body worn cameras right now. So I think it'll work very nice with our body worn cameras. The squad cameras, they'll all mesh together, even to the degree that if you're out on a call and you have a body worn camera and squad camera data, they will marry themselves together into the same incident then, and you'd be able to see all the active shots at once then. Are there any questions about the lease itself or the equipment?
It's cheaper than I thought it would be.
Jim, is anything being purchased with this, or is everything leased? Do we own anything at the end of 5 years?
The cradle points are the routers that are in the squads. Right now we use hotspots for our computer to connect to and then have the cell connection. The cradle points will be an actual router that the SIM card goes into. They're mounted into the trunk and connected with a regular network cable to the computer so that it can download right directly to that and then send it out. So the cradle points and the antennas are the 2 items that we're actually purchasing and will own after the 5 years. With the technology assurance plan, I just put that in our in the memo a little bit. That at the end, towards the end of the 5 years, they will update the cameras in the squad to the latest technology. Right now there's Fleet 2. They have Fleet 3 scheduled to come out September of 2021. So as they redesign cameras and come up with better technology to use, then they automatically update that technology if you're on this plan. So at the end of the 5 years, they would update that camera to the latest model they have. And then if we chose to renew, then we wouldn't have the big upfront. Then those next 5 years would just be leasing that equipment for the next 5 years then.
Have you had any problems working with this company, or do you feel comfortable with them, or give them a?
Yeah. Everything has worked very nice with our body worn cameras. The evidence.com is their platform that they do storage in the cloud, and it's BCA compliant. Everything works very well with that. They do update. They have many departments across the United States that are part of their, lease from their company. So they're constantly upgrading and putting up those updates to all of their technologies, the cameras, the evidence.com, that platform also. So they're constantly making it better and easier to work with. Some of the new items that are out there for the next body worn camera, and then Fleet 3, which would be the squad cameras. Some of that update is to be able to do live video, that a supervisor, if somebody's out on a call, a supervisor could log into evidence.com and see live video from that event of any officers that are on the scene there.
Nice.
So yeah.
Did you remember me asking you about that about 2 years ago?
Yeah. No, they've been moving towards that. And then also the Fleet 3s do LPR, they're license plate readers. If you choose to use that service, obviously the lease would be a little higher, but license plate readers are a device that some departments have that it just Shakopee has a couple of them that they mounted on squad cars when they're driving along. It's taking license plate numbers and running them to check for stolen vehicles or something like that. They'll just keep blinking and run those, and then whatever they set for keywords in their responses, stolen vehicle or revoked driver, then it would come back with a message to them that one is starred or one has a response like that then. But that would be in the future. I think going with the Fleet 2 right now is the best proven camera right now. And we could have did 1 year with the Fleet 2 and then upgrade to the Fleet 3, but I don't see the need for that technology right now, because I wouldn't be looking at utilizing the license plate reader right now, and the live feed isn't there yet either, so we'll wait on that.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I agree with you on that one. You're a couple of years out, and New Prague's a couple of years out for that other tech. But that sounds good to me. Sean, what do you think? Where are you going to get the money for this one now, Mike? I forget.
This was out of the funding of those funds that were made available after complying with the CARES Act requirements. That resulted in additional funds remaining within the city, and you took action where you were not going to fund all of the building improvements for toilets, urinals, sinks, and all of that. And so there was monies left out of that would be used to pay for this upfront initial cost. In future years, it'll have to be budgeted in the annual PD budget.
Cool, thank you. And I would think that leasing it would be a lot better deal because it keeps it updated. When you guys had them before, why did you get rid of them?
Previously in the 90s, all we had was camcorders that were in the car. And some of those came out from MAD, and different organizations would provide them to cities. So we used them for several years. But yeah, they weren't the best item, and they had a mic that would you'd wear the mic and then it would transmit back to the car and put it on the tape. But once they were no longer usable, we just did not go to anything at that time then.
I like it. And Sean, that would solve the issue that you were talking about. So I'll wait to make the motion until you rest the council talks.
Okay.
Jim,
Any
could
other
you touch on, for the council's benefit, the timing and the startup expectations, that if they take action tonight, what are you likely looking at for installation, training, and actual startup?
We would be looking at, if we get it into this week, get to her, that we would start our first year in 2021. If we have those funds available, we would kick those out as an expense for this year, but our first year of the lease would be 2021. And installation, once the equipment is in, we're probably looking at mid to later part of March already for installation.
And would the
According
policy
to,
covering those cameras be the same as the body cam?
would the what?
The policies, you have a policy in place for the use of the body cam, so would these fall under the same policy?
Overall, they'd be kind of the same policy. I would probably have a little sub about when squad cameras would be initiated, turned on. So generally, they'll fall into the same category as some of the body worn camera, but just procedurally, there'd be a little addendum on operating the squad cameras also.
Okay.
Can we get that information when you get it? Because it would be nice to know, does it start recording like 2-3 minutes before it's enacted? Or are we going to have it activated by the call itself? Or something like that, you know what I mean? Because that way we can do a feedback. Because if you see somebody swaying into a different lane, I mean, doesn't it take you a minute to reach over and turn it on? And by then they might not be swaying anymore, you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if, you'll probably say it a lot smoother than I did. What do they call that when they have that
It does buffer. It buffers as it goes. Yep. So yeah, we would look at that once we get closer to implementation. Then we would look at what we would want to put into our policies and our procedures for how long it's going to buffer and be able to retrieve some of that information then.
Great, perfect, thank you.
But just like the body worn camera, where that policy came in front of the council, that as Jim deals with this language, likely that also would come before the council.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, I got a motion by Rick to approve the 5-year lease.
Second.
Maggie, I'll second.
Well, I got Sean, I think, snuck in there before you, Maggie.
Okay.
So we'll let him have the thunder there.
All righty.
If there's no other comment,
Wait for that.
okay. Rick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so it passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Jim. Okay, Mike, moving along, we got our resolution of looking at the next year's budget along with the CIP project from, or CIP budget, capital improvement plan from 2021 to 2030.
I'm going to let our finance director handle this one, Mayor.
Hey, Patty, can we get the mic version?
Yes. Well, you know what? Thank you for putting up with us from August to December in the preparation of this budget, number one. It did take that long, but I think we have a very good budget put together. So, close for your review is the city's total 2021 budget, totaling $33,547,799. And that includes your general fund, your enterprise funds, your special revenue, your capital, and your debt service funds. So what I'm looking for right now is for the mayor and the council to review and approve the resolution adopting the 2021 total budget and the proposed 2021-2030 capital improvement plan.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I know we've probably reviewed these numbers the last few months, but go ahead, Bruce.
More a question on the CIP. Is the demolition of the pool building on the CIP anywhere? And if it's not, I wonder if we should just footnote it somewhere. But
No, I think you're right, Bruce. I apologize. It is not on there. I did get an estimate a couple of years ago, though. So we should be able to incorporate it into government buildings there as a demolition for the pool.
if nothing else, just a placehold it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you probably talked about this in the past. I don't remember, but not next, well, I think of it as being next year, 2022, there's a item for a park building. Can you just fill me in what that's about?
It's for the park garage. Park garage right now is like up to the brim. They can barely move. It would be just make a lot of sense to move them out of where they're at right now and get a bigger building so they could keep all their equipment in the building and still have room to do some work, maintenance on it. Right now they got no lifts, no nothing, and we don't have room to put lifts in there because if we put a lift in, then they lose another parking stall or two. So if they need a lift, we gotta somehow get the equipment up to the Public Works garage here and get it up in the air to work on things. So the building is they've outgrown that where they're at right now, which is that's what I consider to be the old fire department there, just on the west end of City Hall.
Is this topic been kind of talked about besides at a council level, or have we put in place some idea about how we're going to do that already, or?
No, it hasn't really been talked about specifically just this one part of it, because it's always been, we've always talked that when we would do evaluation of the City Hall building, then there would be also a study done of all the government buildings.
Okay.
And the needs and what direction we need to go for basically all the departments within the city of New Prague and potentially utilities and every place else.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, I will make a motion to approve the 2021 budget for all funds and the 2021-2030 capital improvement plan. Boy, that's a tough one. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a second by Maggie Bass. So if there's no other further comments, will I roll call? Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so the budget is improved. It's been approved. All right.
Nice job, Patty. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ken.
All right, next.
Barb.
Resolution adopting the 2020 property tax levy. Mike, are you taking this or is Patty going to do this also?
I vote for Patty.
Go ahead, Patty.
Patty didn't want to work this hard.
Mike, do you need a phone hug? Sorry, Patty, go ahead.
I'll take it. That basically it's summarized on the front page of your memo as far as what the proposed property tax levy is for both the general fund, debt service, and EDA. The overall aggregate increase in our levy from 2020 to 21 is up just under $51,000 or up 1.2%. Key changes is increases in the general fund related to personnel costs, as well as the city's supporting share of the fitness and aquatic center with the school district. We saw a reduction of about 50,000 in our debt service levy due to the refinancing of our bond issues with 4 issues, as well as the 2010 refinancing of the Phillips Square apartment bonds by the Scott County CDA. And so as you take a look at what preliminarily went out on the truth and taxation notices, is our levy was originally up about 3.95%, and it's been cut down to about a 1.2. So that's as short and sweet as I can make it.
I think you actually beat Patty on tonight. Any questions for Mike regarding our tax levy? The only comment I want to make, I just want to thank everyone for the hard work on this, Patty and all the department heads and Mike. I think again, Patty did state that it was a very good budget. And I think over my 10 years, I think we've done an excellent job as a whole at really watching our taxpayers' funds, and I think we should all be very proud of that, and still offering services for a growing community like the city of New Prague. So congrats to everyone.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I guess I'm on a roll, so I'll make a motion to approve the property tax levy for 2020 payable in 2021.
Second.
Second by Sean Ryan. Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
We got Bruce.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so it passes 5-0. Okay, Mike? Approval compensation plan?
All right, you've approved the budget, you've adopted the tax levy. Previously, last year, you approved the 2021 labor agreement with Law Enforcement Labor Services, which is the business agent for our police union. And in that settlement, what you had approved was a 2.75% increase, which is what has been incorporated into the proposed 2021 budget. And so we formally have it on for your consideration and action this evening to finalize this aspect for 21.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mike on this? If not, I guess I'll look for a motion to approve the compensation plan for 2021.
So moved.
Okay, I got a motion by Rick Seiler. I will second that. You guys are making me work a lot this last meeting. So if there's no other comments, okay, how do you vote, Rick?
Aye.
Aggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye, so it passes 5-0. All right, next on the agenda. At our last meeting, we had a closed session meeting for the evaluation of City Administrator Mike Johnson. It was a very positive meeting. The results were all very positive in the work that Mike has been doing. He scored a 4.41, which is the highest he's had in the last 4 or 5 years since we started using this format. I think the underlying consensus of the council during that meeting was that Mike did an excellent job during these difficult times during the pandemic, not only with the help from his department heads and Jim Garst, especially the emergency coordinator, making sure that the city still did a great job of offering the services that we provide, and also to really keep our city employees protected. And you guys should all be really really be proud of that. Some of the departments like Bruce Reimers and Glenn Stika, you got guys out there in the public and interfacing with the public, and same with Ken with your planning, and to really not have that many instances of the COVID within the city employees is well noted, and you should be very proud of really not only doing your job but also protecting your people that work for you. So with that in mind, I just want to say Mike had the tough job when I became mayor because I was probably the greenest guy ever to probably be mayor. I've never held any city office, and with his tutelage, I feel that I feel comfortable now running meetings and that. I still have a hard time with the closed sessions. I always kind of get the order mixed up, but Mike is very helpful in getting me through that. And so I want to personally thank Mike for the dedication support that you gave me during my 10 years. So with that, I would like to make the resolution to approve Mike's evaluation, and Patty will be very happy. She doesn't have to hound me the whole year and get it done in September of the following year. But so I'm going to make a resolution to approve Mike's evaluation and his cost of living increase.
Second.
I got a second by Bruce Wolf. If any other council members want to make a comment before we vote?
No, Mike, you did a great job. Thank you very much. We had a good year.
Okay, with that in mind, okay, how do you vote, Rick?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye. Passes 5-0. Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next on the agenda, consent agenda. We're almost done, guys. Yeah, I know. Anyone have any items of question or any explanation you need in any items in the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Okay, I got a motion by Rick to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I got a second by Maggie Bass. If there's no other comments, questions? Okay. Rick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Maggie?
Aye.
Bruce?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Chuck says aye. So it passes 5-0. Miscellaneous. Ken, do you have anything?
No, nothing additional, other than to point out, I think, I think it was the last council meeting, people wanted to verify that the mill sale had gone through, and yes, we did see the deed come through to New Prague Mill LLC, which happens to be the same address and I believe the same ownership as the owners of the Braz Hotel. So just wanted to point that out. The sales price is $200,000. So.
Wow, for that mill, huh?
Yep.
Well, okay.
Yeah, demolition will be expensive, so.
A lot more than that.
Yeah. Barb, would you like to add anything?
No, I don't. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Jim?
I have nothing to add other than congratulations, Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Patrick? No, he's good. Patty?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Bruce? Reimers?
I don't have anything neither.
Glenn?
No, I don't have anything.
Scott?
Yeah, just a couple quick things, very quick. I want to thank you all for your patience in dealing with that difficult issue earlier with the state and the governor's order. That's been a very difficult topic. I know Mike and I have talked about that many times and trying to see what is the best appropriate route. I am surprised, as Bruce has pointed out, that one of our citizens doesn't qualify. So I think we'll double check that and see if there's other issues that can be surmounted, so to speak, so we can get monies to these folks, if at all possible, through any other mechanism. So, and then secondly, just congratulations, Mayor, on a nice term of office.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you, Scott. There's a caller, John. Does he want to make a comment? Okay. There's a caller, Susan. Would she like to make a comment to the council? Okay. Rick, do you have anything to add?
No additional.
Okay, Maggie?
No, nothing this evening.
Michael?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Let's see. Bruce Wolf.
Just a quick note, you might see on the EDA minutes that the EDA is putting together a little presentation, and Mike will schedule that on the agenda in the future city council meeting. So if anyone has anything particular they want to cover, otherwise there'll be an overview and some discussion about business retention program and some of the other things the EDA is doing. Also like to mention Chuck's involvement with the EDA ever since I've been involved in it. He's been very active participant and a very supportive mayor of the economic development of our town, and with Chart especially and some others. So a shout out for that as well. That's all I got.
Okay. Sean?
Nope, I have nothing.
My wingman lets me down again.
I can come up with something.
Okay, I guess that's it for the meeting. I guess there's an item number 10, or number 11. So Maggie, I guess I'm supposed to turn the floor over to you.
Yes, you are. So we have before us a resolution 2012-2107 recognizing Mayor Charles L. Nicolai. And at this point, I would like to seek the council to make a motion and a second to approve the resolution.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry, so who gave it first, please?
Sean.
I did, Sean.
John, and who seconded?
Rick.
Rick, I would have guessed it. So then I'll take a roll call. Bruce,
A resounding aye.
Sean,
Positively aye.
Rick,
Hey, guy.
and Maggie, a big resounding aye. And Chuck, you still get a vote.
I'm going to abstain because I'd probably vote no.
Aye.
My little elves have just brought me.
Hi. Look at they got there. John and Susan, Laura Barker.
So what I'd like to do is to read the resolution. So, whereas Charles L. Nicolai has faithfully served the city of New Prague as the mayor for the city of New Prague from January 4th, 2011 to January 5th, 2021. And whereas he has always effectively, conscientiously, and professionally represented the city of New Prague in a distinguished fashion. And whereas his efforts have been largely responsible for the excellent reputation, growth, and overall well-being of the city of New Prague. And whereas all of the citizens of the city of New Prague have been the beneficiary of his vision, collaboration, talents, and abilities for the past 10 years. Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of New Prague, Minnesota, that this community and City Council express and record their esteem and high appreciation of his character, dedication, and contributions, which have earned him the respect and friendship of all who've had the pleasure of working with him. And be it further resolved that this City Council extends best wishes to Charles L. Nicolai for years of good health and happiness. Thank you, Chuck.
Well, thank you very much. My little elves, if you can take the thing off. And
Nice.
so here's my resolution, and here's my cocktail in my Mayor Nikolai cup.
Supposed to do that next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. Oh.
And on the screen, there is a plaque that is being presented to Chuck. It is a key to the city of New Prague in recognition of 10 years of exceptional and loyal public service and leadership to the city of New Prague.
You know that pressure having that hit in your room?
Oh, well, again, I really appreciate that. I've been very fortunate in my 10 years as mayor to get to work with a lot of awesome people. You know, with Mike and Patty and Bruce Reimers and Glenn and Jim and Ken and Barb. You guys have all been so supportive and really made my job easy. And I'm going to cherish the memories I've had with you guys forever. And I know, Glenn, you're going to be retiring in February, and maybe when this pandemic's over, we can kind of have a party together. Glenn and I will. And I don't know, Glenn, I'm speaking with your money, but maybe Glenn and I will buy you a beer at City Club or something.
I was actually thinking you were going to buy since you brought it up. So
I will buy for everyone at City Club, and we can all get together and share. But again, it's been such an honor to serve everyone that, you know, the different council members. And Sean, you've been with me the whole time. And
Patty's tearing up.
and there's only one time I think you left me at a party. My wingman left me alone. But besides that, Sean has always been there, my right-hand man, and always got me in trouble. But I appreciate it, you guys. I really, really going to miss you guys. I don't know how much until in 2 weeks or when I first get the next packet, I'm going to be going, what am I going to do? So, but I'm going to make sure that I'll keep my eyes on you guys and make sure you're doing your job right, though. So, I might sneak in once in a while on a Zoom meeting just to make sure you guys are doing okay.
Like John and
Hopefully by then we'll be back in person.
Yes, yes.
So Chuck, I understand that there was a little goodie bag or a gift bag.
Yes, there is. Give me the key. I'll just take this back. Thanks.
Where's this?
This has, I haven't found a door it opens yet, but I'm working.
Oh, New Prague Golf Club. I still got my heart there, Patty. I'll help you out on that one.
I'm counting on it.
All right, some golf balls. I guess everyone must have an idea what I'm going to be doing in my retirement. Golf shirt. Patty, were you taking inventory the other day and clearing it out? Some miscellaneous. Oh, chocolate. Someone knows me. Some golf keys. Or teas and some more chocolate. Well, I appreciate it. I will open the card. It says, thank you. Chuck, on behalf of the City Council and the city staff, we want to thank you for your leadership, vision, collaboration, and guidance over the past 10 years. This city has experienced significant growth and accomplished many projects during your tenure as mayor. You have been a marvelous facilitator at council meetings, enabling both the council and the city staff to accomplish a great deal at those twice-a-month meetings. Thanks again for all you have done for the city council, Sean, Bruce, Rick, and Maggie, city staff, Glenn, Bruce, Ken, Jim, Patty, Mike, and Barb. Enjoy your meetings.
Eating free.
Meeting free Monday nights. Well, thank you. That was very appreciative. Again, I want to thank you guys all for everything you've done for the city and to support me. And it should be, you guys should have a great, very good next year. So,
Parker and Bree, get ready.
okay.
Cheers.
Here's how we lost the farm, like my dad used to always say.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Are we unrecording?